Hi, Schlockmeister fans. By request, we're going to watch something called Blind Date with Kirstie Alley, 1984. And she's naked in it. Let's check it out. Our movie starts with a woman who is getting out of the shower. She was just dropped off by a taxi driver. Apparently, the taxi driver, unbeknownst to her, followed her up to her apartment. All right, he's got her naked on a table here, and then he takes this little pen and draws on her. So after knocking her out, he then gives her some gas of some sort to wake her up, I guess so she can experience the scalpel. Here's some sort of ad campaign, chicks in bikinis, which is always a good thing. You might recognize the actress Valerie Galino. There she is. Joseph Bottoms, our star, as Jonathan, and there's his girlfriend Kirstie Alley, who spends the entire film wearing blouses just like this, with her boobs practically hanging out. It's a great look.
Second week of the taxi scrub, third month of body from gas rationing.
So anyway, he's got Kirstie Alley as his girl, but one of the girls at this photo shoot, this bikini shoot that he was at, is Lana Clarkson. So he's peeping on her. Although she has a nude scene later in the movie, she does not here. She stays in her underwear. Still a good look. He's haunted by some memories of his girlfriend, Marianne. They were attacked apparently at one point. She was assaulted, I think killed, I'm not sure, but she's not in the picture anymore. A local prostitute? Star Trek fans might recognize Deanna Troi. Well, Deanna Troi gets her hands tied by the taxi driver who she's willingly going with, but she doesn't know what's going to happen next. She has a nice topless scene before our killer gets the scalpel and uses it on her too. Well, he's peeping on Lana Clarkson again. This time she's with Greg from Animal House, who spotted him. Well, the chase ensues and Jonathan gets away. However, during his escape, he bashes his head into a tree branch.
Are you sure?
And apparently it causes blindness.
Everything's black. Just black.
All right, let's try again.
Well, he's blind now, and he gets attacked by some thugs in the subway.
I checked your medical tests from the hospital, worked up by a highly qualified physician.
That's Keir DeLeo.
Everything's negative. You should not be blind. Your optic nerve doesn't appear to be damaged.
So he volunteers for a medical experiment.
Because once I perform the operation, it will destroy any chance whatsoever you ever regaining your eyesight again.
They basically install a computer chip in his brain, which attaches to his eyes, and this is how he sees from now on. Apparently he has a Walkman that will also record everything he sees. He decides to plug his new device into his Atari 2600 so he can play Super Breakout. I get it, it was an awesome game. Well, now we have a young couple who's about to have some fun with each other. And they have somebody peeping on them too, but it's not Jonathan, it's our killer with his scalpel. When they're done, dude takes a shower. Well, even though he's still virtually blind, he still decides to spy on Lana Clarkson. When he's done gawking at Lana, he decides to go back in the subway and happens to meet up with those three thugs who beat him up before. But this time, things are a little different. It's still 3-1, but they don't know he can see now. Here we have another new victim taking a bath. And Jonathan happens to be walking by as this happened and hears it. He decides to run inside the building and try to follow the scream, but I think he took a wrong turn. He gets down from there and he believes he has a recording.
I don't have anything to tell them. You've got the tape, which I can only play back up here. Maybe you can get some detail from the tape. Maybe give the cops a lead. Have you ever dealt with the local police?
So he tries to analyze his recording of his memories and he tries to get a description if he can.
A taxi cab. And the killer. Not his face. But I saw him with surgical gloves. He even had...
He's going to make a connection to Lana Clarkson.
Jesus. Rachel.
Perhaps not using the best judgment, he decides to get in the car. So Jonathan's going to try to find Rachel, who is grooving to some happening tunes. Rachel left a note for Dave, who is, the guy from Animal House. And apparently he's our killer because the music just said so. So Dave goes down to the pool, and sure shit, he has a scalpel. Jonathan gets there and turns off the lights.
Who's that, David? Who are you talking to?
Some pricks playing games.
An irritated Dave gets out of the pool and slowly pursues whoever. He has no idea. Now you gotta watch closely here. Dave's got his scalpel and Jonathan pushed it, so he pushed it right into himself.
Call the police, they'll do the rest.
The rest of what? Who the hell are you?
Just a friend.
Claire catches up to them.
So hard.
Because I ran all the way.
The problem with you is you worry too much.
What happened?
The girl's all right.
And you?
I'm okay.
All right, let's talk about Blind Date. This was requested by one of my longtime viewers. It's a movie that I actually had in my collection. I think I saw this on cable way back in the 80s at some point. Didn't remember much about it other than the fact that I remember liking it. And then I picked up the pre-recorded VHS at some point in the late 90s maybe. Not exactly sure when. And then at some point I got the DVD because I had to upgrade from the VHS. So there you go. Anyway, I hadn't actually watched this movie probably since the 80s, so it's been a long, long time. But, excuse me. So what we have here is Jonathan. He's played by Joseph Bottoms, and he's some sort of ad exec or something. Kirstie Alley is his girlfriend. And by the way, what is up with Kirstie Alley's outfits in this movie? I'm not complaining, but she has these open blouses that are just cleavage plunging way down, and her boobs are practically popping out the entire film. Now, she does actually have a nude scene in this movie, too, where you can actually see the breast without the blouse on, but man, good outfits. Way to go, Kirstie. But anyway, I digress. So anyway, so in addition to having his girlfriend, Kirstie Alley, Claire, he also is like a peeping Tom. He peeps on this girl named Rachel, who is part of this bikini campaign that he's involved with. She's played by Lana Clarkson. You might remember her as the victim in the Phil Spector murder case. So anyway, he peeps on her a few times. Meanwhile, a subplot here, I guess, is there is this taxi cab, or somebody who drives a taxi cab, who's going around picking up women, taking them back to his place or someplace, tying them up, and then killing them with a scalpel. One of the persons he picked up is a prostitute played by Marina Sirtis. You remember her as Deanna Troi from Star Trek The Next Generation. She also has a topless scene in this movie as well. But anyway, one point he's peeping at one night, and Lana's with her boyfriend Dave, who's played by the guy who played Greg Marmalade in the Animal House. Greg sees him and chases after him, but he gets away. But he does get away, but he knocks himself cold by bumping into a tree branch, which ultimately causes him to lose his sight for some reason, although the doctors can't figure out why he lost his sight, but he has. So he can't get his sight back, so he volunteers for this experimental procedure by his doctor, Udo Kier, Kier Delea. God, that word screwed up. And they basically implant some sort of electronic chip in his brain, which attaches to his corneas or something, and then he sees things kind of like almost like a computer outline of things as he walks along. That's what we see when he sees. So anyway, he lives with that for a while. But anyway, eventually, he and this killer are going to get together at some point, and he figures out that Rachel, the girl he's been peeping at or stalking, is in danger. And it turns out the killer is her boyfriend, Dave. So he tracks them down at the swimming pool, and he turns the lights off. They're swimming at night. Somehow they're the only ones in this building. So Dave is in the dark too. Although when he was walking around chasing him, it was fully lit up. So I don't know, whatever. Maybe that was our benefit. But whatever. Anyway, a confrontation occurs. Dave has his scalpel. He's holding it up. Jonathan pushes the door open, and the scalpel goes up into Dave's own neck, and he kills himself. And he tells Rachel, hey, you're okay now. And then he leaves, and he meets up with Kirstie Alley, and they kiss, and they live happily ever after. There you go. Anyway, a little oddity from the 80s. Some of the IMDb comments talk about gratuitous nudity in this movie, and there is. Virtually every actress in this movie gets topless. Actually, Lana Clarkson gets completely naked. But yeah, I have no complaints about gratuitous nudity. A lot of boobs in this movie. Well done. It was a Greek-made film by a director named Nico Kartolis or something like that. No, I'm sorry, Nico Mastorakis. Made a bunch of other 80s and I think some 70s exploitation as well. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So not a lot of gore in this movie, just a tiny little bit. More boobs and gore, that's for sure. But it's actually a halfway decent film. The plot was a little jumbled at some point. Like you couldn't really... It didn't make a lot of sense, some of it, but whatever. It was entertaining enough, and I love any movie that showcases the Atari 2600. In this case, the game Super Breakout, which I really loved as a kid. But anyway, that's it. Blind Date. Check it out. Leave some comments. Let me know what you think. It's available on Blu-ray now, too. I'll leave a link to that one down below. Apparently, there's a lot of extra stuff on this DVD. I don't know if the Blu-ray has it, too, but apparently that love scene that Kirstie Alley has, the nude scene, has an extended deleted scene or some extra footage of it. I don't know. I'll have to go check that out right now. Check it out. Leave some comments. Watch it. Bye. Blind Date.